David, thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
Oh man, I'm so excited to be here. You're such a great talent, such a great energy, and you have your heart, your mind, and your soul in the right place. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. No, I couldn't agree with you more about everything you said. I would want to put back onto you, man. You've been an incredible leader in this space. Someone that's definitely kind of paved the way and given a lot of inspiration and motivation to younger people like myself who want to make an impact and use their platform to do those things. And so I just really appreciate what you've done and your time today. But yeah, man, when you guys had reached out on TikTok or through TikTok, I was super excited and I really enjoyed doing that live. But I'm excited today to talk more about you and your brand and all the value that you can bring to this episode.
Absolutely, man. It's all about not only how much value you can bring, but how well you articulate the value to exceed maybe what you're asking for. But it goes beyond that with social media. And you're so good at this as well. It's not only the value, the articulation of the value, but it's how well you serve with your value. And even more importantly, how many you serve too. See, the law of potential will be the value that you provide. The law of profitability will be how well you serve to how many you serve it.
That's so good. And I love that. And I think I feel like that's a place we can miss a lot as a collection of people. I feel like it's always like, what can I get out of this? But I think, having that heart posture of serving first and trying to give that value to others is something that I feel like more people should be talking about for sure. And that's something you do at a really, really high level.
You know, what's so funny you say that is that most people that feel that way, including me when I was younger, we were actually projecting our insecurity because we were afraid to ask. That's why we were always trying to get. And there's a difference between getting in a scarce mindset than it is asking and trusting in an abundant mindset. When we ask in abundance because we've provided value, so we can have more to provide more value, it has a different perspective than going out and getting, for example, happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. Instead, when we take an attitude, I am happy, I am healthy, I am worthy and wealthy, but I'm going to ask someone to help me clear what I'm doing to interfere with what I already am instead of going to get it.
I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And that's something I tell people all the time, as they're asking different ways to connect and to, do different things with all these different people. And I'm like, you've got to find ways to bring people value. Like you can't be someone that just constantly asks and asks and asks without understanding that, you can do it in a way that also is beneficial to others. And I think that's been a big piece of just seeing genuine relationships formed where it's not so much of just a give and take transaction. Let's use our relationship to help each other, but also to help other people. And I think that's like the beauty of seeing a good relationship kind of mature.
Yeah, and it's not just quid pro quo where it's a win-win or give to receive. I really believe if I can change young, talented people like you to a mindset of I need to receive as much as I can through the skills, knowledge, and desire that I have so I can give, not I
Mm,
got to give to receive some sort of quid pro quo negotiation or trade in a scarce world of a zero sum game where if I get somebody else can't have. But I try to shift people's perspective to an abundant, more than enough world where I'm receiving only for one purpose so I can give more and then receive more so I can give even more.
I love that. How would you say you would balance the element of being confident in your ability and the skills that you can provide, but also being humble and grateful for where you are? How would you find that balance, or what's your insight there?
I think understanding the difference between motivation and inspiration allow us to understand confidence compared to the ego-based consciousness of interfering with the confidence or inspiration. What do I mean by that? That when we are motivated, we get up, we get back up, we get started, we get back started. The problem with motivation is twofold. One, it's very short-term energetically. Its only purpose of motivation is to get us up, get us back up, get us started, get us back started. What we want to do is transform that short-term energy, which is most of the time fear-based energy, right? We use fear to motivate us, but it's not how we're going to get to where we want to be. Inspiration is how we get to where we want to be. So we want to transform when we get up, get started, when we get back started and get back up. We want to transform that big surge of energy that fear gives us into this clear confidence. And then when we are focused and we give 5 levels of intention, balanced what we do, say, think, believe, and even feel, when we're in that moment of feeling inspiration, this is confidence. Confidence doesn't have any ego to it. Fear has ego, motivation has ego, inspiration does not. Inspiration is that flow where you have a knowing when you step up to the plate and the ball looks like it's 16 inches in diameter, compared to feeling worried, scared that you're going to strike out, and now the ball looks the size of a marble. This is truly how inspiration works. So I want everyone to think about, am I focused? Am I paying attention to what I want, not what other people want, what's missing, what I'm worried about, or what I don't have? And am I giving it my intention? Am I doing all the things I can, saying all the things I can, thinking all the things I can, believing all the things I can, so I feel confidence, so that the coincidences, the coinciding of my feelings are equal to in collaboration and coordination with the universe. In other words, attention plus intention equals coincidence. People will call you lucky, but it's truly math.
That's really well put. And honestly, the way you break that down is excellent. I think that's so true. A lot of people do talk about luck, but I've been talking, a big slogan of mine that I've been saying a lot is energy creates opportunity. And I think that really goes well with exactly what you're saying. Like if you want, to be successful and to do these things, your inspiration is super important. And then putting that energy behind it that's the component as well. It's like you've got to put action in. You've got to do something about it. You can't just think about it. Oh, it's gonna happen today. Like you're saying, like it's not luck. It's these things coming together in this nice formula that you've constructed. But that's amazing, man. And I love that you say that. I have a lot of respect for you from everything you do, the content you put out, the value you give, but more specifically in this particular topic in question is business focused. You've done an incredible job of building many businesses. And I'm sure there's a lot of businesses that I'm unaware of that you've been involved in and been super successful. How would you give just some quick value on building your brand, building your business? Obviously that's a very broad question, but I'd love to just kind of pull out some insider value from you. And just kind of the basic foundational elements or pillars that you need to be successful in business.
Sure. So I'm going to stay away from building your brand. I'll just focus right on this question, is building the business. If you want to talk about building brand, it's different, and we can do it next question. But to build a business, we need 5 different components. And the first one's credibility. To build a business, you have to have credibility. That means you have to live as close to the truth as you can. That means you have to understand what it is you do and how it can be of service to others, and how you and others can be of service to you, in other words. So you want to be as close to the truth. The biggest problem with most businesses or startups is they, try to fake it before they make it. They lie, manipulate, cheat, oversell, back end sell, and then they wonder why they never get what they need. Is because as soon as somebody recognizes that you're lying, manipulating, cheating, overselling, or back end selling, that they then look for more void, shortages, and obstacles, you get no benefit of the doubt. In fact, if in business you're 100% credible, nobody will say no to you. I can tell you right now, if I was 100% credible, I could tell Doug, hey man, wire me $1 million. I'll wire you back 2 million next week. You'd find $1 million if I was 100% credible. 2,
Sure.
you have to understand when you start a business, the emotional connection with your product, service, or solution of you, your company, and the customers. Meaning that you got to figure out what people like, what they don't like, and then figure out how we can emotionally attach. People buy on emotion for logical reasons. So if they're buying on emotion and you're credible, you're nailing buying on emotion for logical reasons. Remember, people would much rather shop with a friend, right, than be sold to. And so we need that emotional connection. The third thing within the context of a business is you need to be able to quantify the reasons why there's a margin. You have to quantify it and be able to articulate the quantifiable reasons why there's a margin involved. It could be from the product, service, or solution, time, whatever it would be. I tell everybody that in the reasons, there's three aspects, right? There's the market, there's the market makers, and the margins. But you have to be able to articulate the reasons. There's a market, the reasons of who the market makers are, but most importantly, you got to be able to articulate the quantifiable value of the margins. If you do that, so you have credibility, emotional attachment, and the quantification of reasons in order to do business, now you have to illustrate impact. It's much more important today than it was in the 50s, but today it's a necessity. You have to be able to show impact of your business beyond the quantitative value or quantitative market makers and margins. And then finally, you need alignment of capabilities. Too many people start a business only based off of features and benefits. You actually have to be able to utilize the features and benefits, the capabilities as an arsenal to provide value, to infuse value aligned with internal or external customers, right? Because there's a variety of different customers. There's your employees, your vendors, channel partners, and actually the consumer. These are all different customers that the business has. And you have to make sure that you're aligning the features and benefits as an arsenal to infuse value into credibility, into emotional attachment, into the reasons, and into the impact. If you set up your business to be able to cover these 5 areas in these quantitative ways, the problem with most people is they have a great idea and they have no way to take it to market. They have no quantitative analysis. All they have is a great idea. There's a million great ideas out there. Or as my friend who founded Netflix says, there are no great ideas. They're all bad ideas. It's the guy who can evolve it into a great idea and make money from it. That'll be the entrepreneur that you should invest in. That's what we want to be. We want to be able to create great ideas. We want to be able to quantify them with credibility, emotional attachment, reasons, impacts, and capabilities, and monetize it.
So good. I love that. And thank you for providing that. I think that's a lot of good stuff for our listeners to hear. My next question revolves around adversity. So you obviously have had an enormous amount of public success. And I'm first off, congratulations to all the things you've been able to do and accomplish. And I know it's a product of hard work and determination, but could you share, maybe a tougher pitfall you've kind of experienced and maybe your mindset? Because we talk a lot about mindset, your mindset of overcoming that and how you haven't let that completely stop you, but potentially further you along the path.
First of all, I've had more adversity than we have time in a day to talk about, but let me just pick one of the bigger idiotic adversities that I've had. Now, I believe all adversity now, my mindset about adversity now is that it's promoting and protecting me. See, I believe there's something bigger than me that's omniscient, all powerful, and all knowing, so that when I have adversity, it's like a 3-year-old reaching out to a stove. You reach out to touch the stove. Your mom may have never hit you before, but you reach out to touch a hot stove, your mom's going to slap you and say no. You may cry and tell your mom, why are you punishing me? All this adversity, this pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes. Why are you doing this to me? And then your mom will hug you and say, I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting you. I'm promoting you. So adversity, pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes are simply, if you have faith, there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom. Just remember your mom slapping your hand when you try to touch the stove because you don't know better. When you don't get the job, you don't get the deal, you break up with your significant other, just say thank you because you're being promoted and protected. You just have to learn the lesson to figure out where the better place, the better situation is going to be. So my biggest adversity was myself, but I'll take a circumstance that manifested itself because I lost and did not take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. I lost my gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. I lost over $100 million. I went bankrupt. Not only did I go bankrupt, but the reason I got hired to run the most notable sports agency in the world is so that I could show the parents of the greatest celebrities, athletes, and entertainers, billionaires, millionaires, and entrepreneurs in the world that I knew how to take care of money and grow money and make money. Meanwhile, I lost all credibility going bankrupt. I thought I was gonna be fired. But even worse, the only reason I wanted to be rich, Doug, is to buy my mom a house and a car. When I went bankrupt, I forgot to take my mom's house out of my name. So I had to go tell my mom, not only was I bankrupt, but worse, she had to move because I lost her house. So talk about adversity going from 33 homes, a ski mountain, a golf course, running the most notable sports agency in the world as a multimillionaire, access to everything that even billionaires couldn't afford, all the way down to a rented house, rented furniture, and one car with 3 daughters under 10 years old and a pregnant wife. That's adversity at its best. And guess what? At that time, my mindset was, I'm grateful, I'm forgiving, I'm accountable, I'm inspired because I'm being promoted and protected. And I will tell you, 16 years later, I have been promoted and protected by that adversity. I'm in a bigger, better place than I have ever been in. And my wife told me before I lost everything, if you don't take stock in who you are and what you want to become, you're going to be dead. And that's what I would have been if I didn't have that adversity in my life. Now look at me. I'm able to not only live and make a lot of money, to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun, but I empower people like you to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. I'm on a mission to empower over 1 billion people. Over 1 billion people to do just the same. And anybody that needs my help, my email is david@dmeltzer.com. Just reach out, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll give you my books, guides, exercises, free trainings on Friday. I don't care. I'm here to be of service.
That's incredible, man. And that's a really powerful story. I appreciate you sharing that and kind of providing that value of how you kind of overcame it. I think a lot of times people look at their situation and maybe they're in the heat of the moment and they're in the heat of the adversity and they can't see that how it's going to get better. And I think, you providing that testimony, that story is really powerful. So I appreciate that. And yeah, the encouragement is like, and I don't know how, I'm sure this is how you feel. You've kind of illustrated it, but it's probably something you look back at and you're extremely grateful for it. You were had gratitude in those hard moments to get you through it. But now you look back and you're like, the adversity itself, I'm grateful for because it definitely changed who I am today.
Yeah, it's so funny because I analogize things to golf a lot of the times, because when you first start playing golf, no matter how great of an athlete you are, and I've been around the greatest athletes in the world, I've never seen one pick up a golf club for the very first time and, shoot par, right? It's literally impossible. But for some reason, people think they can do that with life. So when they're 24 years old, starting their first business, and they compare themselves to a 54-year-old guy who has hit so many bad shots in my life, have been to the range so many times in business, they wonder, well, how do you draw the ball so well in a business sense? Well, took a lot of bad shots to get to where I am today. And so one advantage of being more experienced, or as they say, older, I believe I'm timeless, but I have a lot more experience than most people. One of the advantages is I have the ability to look back and see all the bad shots and learn from them. And it's very difficult for a 24-year-old to look backwards and see as many bad shots and have as many lessons as I have. That's why I give everything for free, and my lessons for free, my books, guides, exercises for free, because I want you to learn those lessons. You don't have to take all the bad shots or pay the dummy tax that I've paid. You don't need to lose $100 million to figure out what I know.
I love that. And honestly, I needed to hear that personally. So I appreciate you sharing that. That impacted me as well. And this is kind of like my final question, wrapping this up, and I really appreciate what you've done. What has been the number one trait that you've used to become successful and that someone else could apply to their life today? Like right now, when they're listening to this podcast, what can they apply to their life?
Humility. There's 2 types of people in the world. There's ignorant people that don't know what they don't know. And there's ignorant people that don't know what they don't know. The difference between those 2 types of people is there's arrogant, ignorant people that refuse to ask for help, that project the fact that they don't know what they don't know by pretending like they know. And then there's humble, ignorant people that always ask for help and are always of service to help others and live in radical humility because they know that they don't know what they don't know. And because they know that they don't know what they don't know, they have faith in something bigger than them, that loves them more than their mom loves them, that enables them to live humbly, of service and of value to others, but also humbly enough to ask for help in person, on the phone, via email, via media, traditional and social. Please live in humble ignorance. You don't know what you don't know, so give everything you have away and ask for more.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I really appreciate it. As we wrap this thing up, you have an incredible podcast yourself, one that I personally listen to and would love to endorse. it's a lot of value, a lot of good stuff. You had a great one today on sales that I actually listened to as I was preparing for this, and I enjoyed it. But is there any other project or anything you have going on you'd like to talk about?
Certainly. And please reach out to me, because david@dmeltzer.com. So I have from gratitude challenges to free trainings on Friday, replayed. I have a podcast called The Playbook, 3 TV shows, Elevator Pitch with Entrepreneur, I executive produce. I have an Apple TV deal. So I have on Bloomberg and Apple 2-minute drill. If you're a young entrepreneur, you want to win $50,000 of cash and prizes and be on Bloomberg and Apple TV, apply. Every episode we give that away. I have Office Hours, the first late night entrepreneurial show with Cameron Diaz and Tillman Fertitta and Sadhguru and Deepak Chopra, just incredible people on Office Hours. That's on Bloomberg TV and Apple TV. I've written 4 books. I speak around the world. I coach. I have free coaching, group coaching. I have a wait list for my one-on-one, but go ahead. If you're young, put yourself on the wait list. I'll get to you. And otherwise, please be more interested than interesting. You guys have all heard of the world's most interesting man, the Dos Equis guy. Well, I want to be the world's most interested man. I want people to say, oh yeah, Dave Meltzer, one time he asked over 100 open-ended questions just to figure out how he could help somebody. Be interested, not interesting. Be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. Reach out to me. I am of service. I promise you, Doug knows this. Reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'm happy to help.
David, you're a legend, man. I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done for not only me, but just all the people you impact. My last question as we wrap this up, when are we getting our workout in? When am I flying out to work out with you, man?
How about next week? Let's do it, man. Anytime we could do it at a gym or in my garage. I got a whole gym in there now because of COVID.
Let's do it, man. I'd love to work out with you, man. That'd be awesome. David, thank you so much, man. Let's crush life. Let's help people, man. And let's just keep getting after it.
Stay after it, Doug. Thank you, brother.
Let's go.